Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be working on this Spectra doll. I will be turning her into the Ghost of Christmas Past from A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Her body does have a few Mars on it, as well as her face, but I thought her ghostly white hands and feet would be fantastic for this project. I do sand down her body using these foam pads that are in fine, super fine, ultra fine, and micro fine. Until I got a nice paper-like texture that gets rid of the shiny coating on this doll. I clean off her face with 100% acetone, cut off her hair really short, cleaned out the plugs from the inside of her head, and then I get started on her reroute. I will be using this, I think it's Canaculon, I'm not really sure, but it does glow in the dark, which is how I'm giving her light. That is a part of the description in the story. I cut off a bit, fold it over, cut that in half, and then I'm ready to start rerouting her. I want her hair to be fairly long. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think ladies during this time period probably would have had very long hair too, that they kept, in fairly elaborate looking hairstyles. She's not going to get an elaborate hairstyle, but it'll be interesting. Just a little, glow in the dark hair. I pull off a little pinch of hair, fold it over my fingers, insert that into the cut-off eye of my reroute tool, which is just a X-Acto knife handle, and that needle that's been cut at a diagonal. And then stab it into her head, repeat 1,000 times until I have a full head of hair. And then I secure all those plugs with some clear tacky glue going through the neck hole. I fill it up, try to squeeze around, trying to cover every plug. And then I get a Q-tip or cotton swab and just kind of swab around in there, trying to keep as much hair in as possible, and then leave it to dry, usually about 24 hours, but I think it was about a week before I got back to this doll. Once it's all dry, I reunite the body and the head and get started on the dress. I wanted to get the nightgown made before I body blushed her, so I wouldn't mar the paint job. I made her a very simple nightgown using a pattern to method of saran wrap and masking tape. This is super simple way to do things. It's not a complex outfit by any means. I don't use that sheer fabric you just saw because it just kept shredding. Instead, I'm using this crushed velvet. It has a very pronounced nap, which I'm trying to figure out which way it is. One way it feels really smooth when you put it, and if you go in the opposite direction, it feels very rough. I lay out my pattern, decide the best way to cut it out is just flat. Pin it on, cut it out, leaving out a bit of a seam allowance, marking those two darts, and then sew everything by hand. These little tiny pieces would have been eaten up by my sewing machine. To sew it, I start with the darts and then sew the shoulder seams, and then make some nice poofy sleeves out of some lace, which I didn't show. Make the collar out of the lace you do see. I also use that same lace and fabric to make her cap later on. Her cap is just a simple circle that I zigzagged a little ways in and inserted some elastic to pull it tight. I did lose a lot of footage making this dress. I apologize for that. It is really simple. There's a lot of doll outfit videos out there you should definitely check out. I'm not really 100% great at this. I tend to work on people-sized clothes more. And now it's time to move on to her face up and her body blushing. I will be using my pastels in various tones of gray, from white all the way to black, and a few in between. I will be giving her just a hint, not much, just a hint of a rosy color in her cheeks. She's a ghost, so I kind of want to keep her dead looking. So her only not gray tone color is going to be just a hint of rosy cheeks and the waterline in her eyes, and then her irises are blue as well. To start my face up, I did draw her eyes off camera. I struggle getting the shapes right on those. And anyway, and in camera it's so much worse. So I do start off every face up the same. I use a base color, whatever skin tone of my pan pastels, whatever matches, because Mr. Super Clear alone does not give quite as good a paper type texture as using even the colorless blender alone with the Mr. Super Clear will give you a better texture to draw on. My pigments lay down a lot easier. It's easier to build up color right at the beginning if I do it this way. So that's what I do. I use all my different colors of gray and white and even the black on her lips just to give the contouring. Her character in the book is described as being like a child, but also old. So to give her the illusion of being like a child, I gave her really big eyes and that little hint of color, that little pink color in her cheeks. I don't think I filmed that part. Just here and there, just some hints of being a child, and then I contoured fairly heavily, giving her emphasis over her cheekbones, her clavicle, just anywhere that would normally get be more pronounced, that to give her that old feel as well. I do like to blush both head and body at the same time. I know a lot of people don't like that. I find that if I don't reattach the head before I do any of her face up on any doll, really, I tend to get a lot of cracking, and then the Mr. Super Clear literally peels off the face, pulling the face off as well. I've had enough heartaches with that to want to avoid it, so I just do this all together as one cohesive doll. Right here I'm using a fairly dark shade of gray to tint her lips nice dark color. I don't want them to look like she's wearing lipstick. I don't want that here. This is not the look I'm going for. And what you see right now is me using a chalk pastel pencil by General. It blends nicer than any of the watercolor pencils. Yet another layer of Mr. Super Clear all over, and her face up, or her body is done. So I've wrapped her up into another burrito, and now I can start on her eyes. I wanted her eyes and eyebrows to be blue. I want her eyebrows to match her hair there. I draw tiny little strokes, very, very tiny. I know a lot of people start with pan pastel. I struggle with that. I'd rather just do the tiny little hairs. I'm not sure why that works better for me, but that's how it works for me. So maybe it'll work for you if you struggle with eyebrows. I fill in our irises with a base shade of very light blue. And then, instead of using black to outline her eyes and give her, you know, eyeliner look. I actually used my darkest blue to rim her irises and then around her eyes. Here's where I'm adding that terracotta color for her tear ducts, her waterline. In her eyes, I wanted to give her a gradient from a fairly dark shade of blue at the top down into a very light shade at the bottom. And her pupils, I didn't want to have defined pupils, so they're not black. They're just kind of sort of hinted at. Like I said, she is supposed to be a ghost, so not alive. I wanted to play up that ghostly dead look a little bit there. Right now I'm giving her some shadows around her nose, under her her nose at the cupid's bow, anywhere that should have shadows and doesn't. This doll is very, very white because she's a ghost, so I had to give her fake shadows. With every layer of Mr. Super Clear, I'm just building up just a little bit more that color, redefining where that color actually is. I gave her some eyelashes, bottom eyelashes. Later on, she'll get 3D top lashes. I noticed her ears kind of looked a little flat, so I'm giving her shadows in those as well with my gray. This one is also a chalk pastel. It's a gray chalk pastel pencil by General, I believe, as well. And then I'm covering up those imperfections in her vinyl with the beauty marks. There she is. She's got 3 of them. And now I'm going to ruin it. Not really. I wasn't happy with her lips earlier, and I put some white pastel over top of it and noticed that gave her lips a very ethereal look, and decided I wanted to try that for her entire face. So her colors were very vibrant and maybe too vibrant for a ghost. So putting this thin layer of white over top of it is going to dull that down and make it look translucent colors. Mr. Super Clear will lighten that effect up a little bit, and it'll be just exactly what I'm going for. And now I'm trying to make, while she's drying, I was making her eyelashes. I do have some white eyelashes here, and I want to try to match her hair. I tried pastels. That didn't really work for these. And then I remembered I have alcohol inks. And the turquoise color kind of matched pretty well with her hair. When I first tried this on another piece, a very little piece, it seemed so super dark, but it dried a lighter shade. So that worked really well. And when it's dry, it does look pretty close to perfect. I didn't, again, want to make her eyelashes glow in the dark. That wasn't what I was going for. So now she's had her final sprays of Mr. Super Clear. I do 3 layers at the end. I can start working on other things there. I'm showing her hair and her eyelashes kind of match there. I kind of thought at the last minute that I would give her some socks. Something in my head said she'd probably get cold. She's dead. She probably doesn't get cold, but yeah, for some reason I thought she might get cold, so I wanted to give her some socks. So there they are. Super cute. I do try to put them on, her eyelashes on with the Mod Podge there. I ran out of Elmer's Glue All, which works a little bit better than this Mod Podge. This does eventually work, and I do eventually figure out that I was trying to put on eyelashes that are way too long across her eye, longer than they should be. Eventually I figured that out, but here you can watch me struggle for a moment trying to put these on. I try to give them the curve of her eye. I try to give them that shape. Right here, I'm starting to realize, hey, maybe these are way too long. I need to cut them down. I really struggled with this. Eventually I did get them on, and they look okay. I went back and read the description of this character in the book, and it says it has summer flowers at the waist of the dress. So I got these little rosebud kind of, I'm not sure what they are meant for, decorations on something probably. I got them in the craft section of Walmart. I'm going to attach them, so this little bouquet, if you will, to her dress at the sash there. It also says that she is carrying a sprig of holly as a symbol of Christmas. So later on you'll see I will give her holly as well. To fasten the dress, there's a couple of snap closures, and then the tie. Here is her cap. I do have elastic in it to pull it tight, and then I will sew that in permanently. There's her socks. Now all that's left is to go ahead and pull the hair wrap down, style her hair a little bit, and get her dressed. I do struggle getting these pins out. Some of the pin heads came off, and I had to get a pair of pliers to pull out the pin itself, like right there. And once it's down, this is how everything looks together, and I'll get her dressed. On go her socks, maybe. On goes her dress. This dress has a couple of snap closures in the back, as well as the little bow in the back. And then I styled her hair in a simple updo using a pin to keep the pompadour in place. I put on her hat just to find out how long the elastic needed to be. Her hair is very poofy and it kept pushing the hat off, so I actually used a couple of pins to keep it in place. And there she is, complete, minus the little holly that I needed to give her. In the her description, it says that she carries some holly as a symbol for Christmas, so I'm giving her that really quick. I hope you enjoyed my take on The Ghost of Christmas Past from the story A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. She did turn out exactly how I wanted her to. I will see you in the next video. Bye!